Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Chris with Market Happen Gaming, and it has been a hot minute since I've actually done a recording for Pokemon. And I know, I know ahead of time there's going to be these people who have watched my videos in the past who's like, oh, every draft analysis video Market does, he says he's gonna complete this series, and then we don't see another video out of him. Well, this is not going to be one of those instances. I am pleased to announce that the Kentucky Mudsdales have been accepted into the JJDL Season 2, the John Junior Draft League, and we are in the Tornadus Division, and this is our draft analysis. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so before we go start, I want to shout out the commissioner of the league, John Jr. I provided his YouTube link on the screen. So if you could please go give him a sub, go give his video some love. He is an awesome person and he deserves all the positivity that we can give him. I also want to shout out Zombie for bringing me to the community, making me aware of this draft league, and uh, in turn allowing me to be able to apply and be accepted. I was actually the last coach announced for this league. And shout out to the Tornadus Division for being the best division in the server. We finished our draft first, way ahead of everybody else, and it has been a pleasure. So, without further ado, let me go over my thoughts in drafting here. I wanted to take a different approach than normal. I've been paying attention to sports a little more than I used to, and so in turn, I um, I decided to focus on two high value point lines and then use the rest of my team to support and back up these two lines. So without further ado, here is our first big money player, you could say. All right, so first we have our Urshifu single strike. We have hands. He's here to throw some hands. I don't know if I don't know how many people are wanting to catch him. He's very well known fighting Dark type. He has the Unseen Fist ability, which allows him to go through protection screens. Really good stats, really good move pool. He is going to be our primary physical attacker for the season. We do have a couple of backup lesser ones, but the goal is to. The game plan is how can this Mon win games and how can I support it? So, yeah. Uh, I am excited to use this. I've never used it before in draft. I've drafted Urshifu Rapid before, but not this one. All right, next up we have Goldingo, second sin, Steel Ghost, one of the best abilities in the game, good as gold. This thing hits like a truck. It has moves like Make It Rain, of course, Shadow Ball. It gets recovery. Um, I think it gets all kinds of good stuff. And this, I'm excited to use this thing. This thing is a menace to prep for. And so the idea of my draft is how do we allow, what do I need to do to allow Urshifu and Goldingo to win games? These are my primary threats. These are what I intend to do, or what I intend to use to win games. These are my two big all-star players, like my Pro Bowlers. I my first team players. So after this pick, this is going in pick order, by the way. So I got my 2 stars. So at this point, I was like, how can I support these two guys? What do I need to support these? So our next pick is our first support mon. We have Big Mouth, the Scream Tail. That's Fairy Psychic type, really good bulky stats. This thing does a lot. It has a lot of utility between hazards. It gets screens. It can encore. This thing is going to do a lot of good this season and is going to be an annoyance to my opponents. It doesn't necessarily need to be support at times either, because it actually has a decent like setup move pool with Calm Mind and such. So be on the lookout for Screamtail to take some big hits and do some good setup. Next up, I wanted a Mon that could be both utility based, but also help against one of the bigger offensive threats in the pool that was drafted recently, and that was Palafin. So next up we have Belly Blue, the Gastrodon. So this mon, obviously, it's um, really good defensive mon, has a great typing, only one weakness, and grass and a freeze dry weakness here. Um, Sticky Hold, Storm Drain, and Sand Force has good defensive stats and mediocre offensive stats, but these you can't sleep on it. This thing gets a lot of good things. It got Stealth Rocks. Finally, it gets Spikes. So this is another mon that can also take pressure off of Screamtail to be a hazard setter, as Screamtail also gets Stealth Rocks. And yeah. So moving on, our next mon that we picked was Cyclizar. This mon is a mon that I have used before. This is one of two mons in this presentation I couldn't find a good PNG for. This thing is a lot of leagues are not allowing Shed Tail, which was one of this thing's bread and butter moves, but even then, a normal dragon type with Regenerator is still great, and it has a really excellent speed tier as well as a lot of good utility moves such as Knockoff and Rapid Spin. So this mon gives me great speed control, gives me good hazard control, it gives me good knockoff support, and it can hit really hard with its stab moves. And so next up we have Colossal. We have Chimney. This is one of our 3 Terra Captains. So in this league, the Terra Captains are all like 8 points and below. So low tier Terra Captains. So this mon gave me another Stealth Rocker, gave me another Rapid Spinner. So I was trying to avoid my support mons being shoehorned into the same role every time, which having things like that makes my draft predictable, and it makes it a lot easier to prep for if you know like, oh, this is the only Stealth Rocker, so this is the only mon, so I can just prep for this one and keep hazards off the field. So yeah. So my Terra types I chose for this one are Fairy and Water. So changing into a Fairy or a Water type from a Rock and Fire type allows it to utilize its defensive stats really well. It has some excellent abilities: Steam Engine, Flame Body, and Flash Fire. The fire immunity can be nice, with the exception of the Odor Piran fire form with Mold Breaker, but Flame Body is also really good for niche matchups against very strong physical attackers, and the Steam Engine ability is also really nice for being able to speed me up if I predict a switch in. Or not a switch in, if I predict a fire or water type move to come out. And so this is my first Terra Captain again. So I'm expecting big things out of Chimney to come. Next up is Thunderous Therian Raiden. This is my primary backup special attacker for Golden Go. In matchups that Golden Go might not be especially good in, Raiden can come in and be able to deal a lot of disruption and damage. It's only got the one ability, Volt Absorb, but it has a decent speed, faster than base 100, and it has that killer 145 special attack. And I expect the matchup that this thing does come to cause a lot of chaos, punch a lot of holes and things, allowing for easier cleanup from Urshifu or even something else. Alright, next up we have our second Terra Captain. We have Rose the Muck. So this Muck is a grass and dark Terra types. I figured it would be really good for poison resist. Should I really need something against poison? The poison type, or not poison, ground resist. It could be poison, it could be ground, it could be a psychic immunity, based on the matchup. It has 3 decent abilities, though Sticky Hold and Poison Touch are a lot better than Stench in my opinion. It has decent offensive stats and decent defensive stats, so This thing will do a lot. Should, in theory, do a lot to the matchups it's brought. It also gives me a Toxic Spikes option should I choose to go that route. The next mon that we have picked up is Iron Leaves Mule. This will be a good backup for Urshifu. Should Urshifu have an awful matchup on paper, this thing is a Grass and Psychic type. It has that glaring U-turn weakness, which is an issue, but the team that I have drafted supports this thing very well. The Court Drive ability, of course, exclusive to the Paradox feature forms. Really good stats. Really nice base 130 attack stat and a good 104 and 108 spin speed as itself. So this thing gets set up on both the special and the physical side, and Calm Mind is Sword Stance, and this thing can hit like a truck. I mean, you can't sneeze at base 130 attack. So, like I said, this thing primarily will come to matchups that Urshifu might struggle against. So, moving on, we have Titan Icewell. This was the one pick that I literally just picked it for the typing. Big Fat is really nice on top of a base on 170 HP. It has a really nice attack stat, and that's about it. I've not really explored this mon very much, but I'm expecting that in matchups versus strong ice types, that this thing will come in and be able to handle things pretty well. And last but not least, we have our last Terra Captain. This is Ferret Fairy. It's a Terra typing is normal and Ghost. This thing does have a third ability. It run away, but that has no competitive use, so I just excluded it from this slide. It's a Gen 2 mon. I am very partial to Gen 2 mons, but Ferret did get a nice new toy with this DLC update. It got the move Tidy Up, which is essentially a normal type Dragon Dance that clears hazards off the field. So, if this thing were to come to a match, it should at least be able to do something. It's another knockoff user, and with it being a normal type, it has a really nice and diverse move pool. So yeah, this is the last mon. Just scrolling through just to show everybody again, and that is all I have for us today. So I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope to have a great season, and there will be more videos to come. See ya.